Your mind is a prison right now. You cannot escape it. Every thought leads to another thought. Every worry births 10 more. You lie awake at 3 in the morning replaying conversations from 5 years ago. You sit at dinner with people you love, but you are not really there. You are somewhere else, planning, calculating, rehearsing disasters that will never happen. You have tried everything: meditation apps, breathing exercises, positive thinking, and nothing works. The noise never stops. It just gets louder. You are exhausted, not from working, not from living, but from thinking. And what you do not realize is that the way you are trying to quiet your mind is actually making it scream. The two paths. There were two men, both the same age, both living in the same city, both trapped inside their own heads. Let us call them Takeshi and Hiroshi. Takeshi woke up every morning at war. His alarm went off, and immediately the thoughts started. The meeting today, the email he forgot to send, the way his boss looked at him yesterday. What did that look at mean? Was it disappointment? Was it anger? He would lie there for 20 minutes running scenarios, planning what he would say, how he would defend himself, preparing for battles that might never happen. He tried to push the thoughts away. Stop thinking about this. Focus on something else. But the harder he pushed, the louder they became. So he grabbed his phone, scrolled through news, through social media, through anything that would drown out the noise. But it was still there, underneath everything, waiting. Hiroshi woke up to the same chaos, the same storm of thoughts, the same fears and worries and endless mental loops. But he did something different. He did not fight it. He did not try to push it away. He did not reach for distraction. He sat up, closed his eyes, and watched. He watched the thoughts come, like waves. He did not try to stop them. He did not judge them. He did not believe them. He just watched them rise, peak, and fall away. And in that watching, something began to shift. This is Mushin, the Japanese concept of no mind. But it does not mean what you think it means. Most people hear no mind, and they think it means emptiness, a blank slate, no thoughts at all. So they sit down to meditate and they try to force their mind into silence. Stop thinking, be quiet, be calm. And what happens? The thoughts multiply, the mind rebels, the silence becomes impossible. This is the fundamental mistake. You are treating your mind like an enemy that must be defeated, like a wild animal that must be tamed, like a problem that must be solved. And so you go to war with yourself, and in that war, there is no peace. There is only exhaustion. Think about the last time you tried to force yourself not to think about something. What happened? You thought about it more. The moment you say, "Do not think about elephants," what do you see? Elephants everywhere. Because resistance creates persistence. Fighting creates fuel. The harder you push against a thought, the stronger it becomes. Mushin teaches something radical. Your mind is not the problem. Your relationship with your mind is the problem. When a samurai entered battle, he could not afford to overthink. If he calculated every move, analyzed every possibility, worried about every outcome, he would be dead before the first strike. So he trained himself to enter Mushin, a state where thoughts still came, but they did not stick. They arose and disappeared like ripples on water. He was aware, alert, present, but not tangled in thought, not paralyzed by analysis, not drowning in fear. He did not have no thoughts. He had no attachment to thoughts, and that made all the difference. You see, your mind will always produce thoughts. That is what minds do. Trying to stop your mind from thinking is like trying to stop your heart from beating. It is not the goal. It is not the solution. The solution is learning to let thoughts pass without grabbing onto them, without making them your identity. without believing that every thought that crosses your consciousness is true, important, or permanent. Takeshi believed control was the answer, so he made plans, detailed plans. He organized his thoughts into categories, he set goals, he created systems. He believed that if he could just manage his mind perfectly, it would finally quiet down. If he could just think his way out of the thinking, he would find peace. But it did not work. The more he tried to control, the more out of control he felt. Because life does not follow plans. People do not behave the way you expect. Outcomes do not match predictions. And every time something went differently than he planned, his mind would spiral. New thoughts, new worries, new fears, new strategies to prevent the unpredictable. He could not be in the moment, ever. He would be at coffee with a friend, and his mind would be at work. He would be at work, and his mind would be on a conversation he had 3 days ago. He would be trying to sleep, and his mind would be rehearsing a meeting that was weeks away. He was never where he was. He was always somewhere else, trapped in time that did not exist, solving problems that were not real, and it was killing him, not literally, but spiritually. He felt hollow, empty, like he was watching his own life happen from behind glass, like he was a ghost haunting his own body. One night he sat in his apartment, completely alone, and realized he could not remember the last time he felt present, the last time he felt real, the last time he was just here, just now, just alive. Hiroshi had been where Takeshi was. Years ago, he had fought the same war, made the same plans, tried to think his way into peace, and he had lost, completely. He had a breakdown, a moment where the noise became so loud, the weight became so heavy that his entire system collapsed. He could not function, could not work, could not even get out of bed. And in that collapse, something unexpected happened. He stopped fighting, not because he won, but because he was too exhausted to continue. And in that surrender, he found something he had been searching for his entire life: space. He started practicing Mushin, not as a technique, but as a way of being. Every morning, he would sit, and he would watch his mind. He would notice the thoughts, the fears, the stories, the judgments, and he would let them be there. He would not push them away. He would not believe them. He would just watch them, like watching clouds pass through the sky. At first, it felt impossible. His mind would scream at him. It would demand attention. It would create emergencies. It would convince him that if he did not think about this right now, something terrible would happen. But he kept watching, and slowly the thoughts began to lose their grip. They were still there, but they did not control him anymore. They were like background noise, present, but not all-consuming, real, but not permanent. The turning point. One day, Takeshi could not take it anymore. He was sitting at his desk, staring at his computer, and his mind was on fire. Thoughts crashing into each other. Deadlines, mistakes, fears, regrets. He could not breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in. His chest was tight. His hands were shaking. He felt like he was dying. He called Hiroshi. They had been friends once, before Takeshi got too busy, too stressed, too lost inside his own head. He did not know why he called. He just knew he needed help. Hiroshi came over. He did not ask questions. He did not offer advice. He just sat with him. And after a long silence, he said something that Takeshi would never forget. "You are not your thoughts." Takeshi looked at him, confused, frustrated. "What does that even mean?" Hiroshi smiled. "You think your mind is you. You think every thought that appears is yours, is true, is important. But thoughts are just events, like sounds, like weather. They come and they go. You do not have to believe them. You do not have to fight them. You just have to stop identifying with them." But if I stop thinking, how will I solve my problems? You will not stop thinking. You will stop suffering from thinking. There is a difference. That night, Takeshi tried something he had never done. He sat in silence. He did not try to empty his mind. He did not try to relax. He just observed, and the thoughts came. Loud, aggressive, demanding. But he did not fight them. He did not engage with them. He just watched. And after a while, something extraordinary happened. The thoughts were still there, but there was space around them. He was not inside them anymore. He was outside them, watching them. And in that space, he could breathe. For the first time in years, he could breathe. The transformation. Mushin is not about having no thoughts. It is about not being enslaved by thoughts. It is about understanding that you are not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that hears the voice. You are not the storm. You are the sky that holds the storm. When you stop resisting your thoughts, they stop resisting you. When you stop trying to control your mind, it stops controlling you. When you stop fighting the river, you learn to flow with it. This does not mean you become passive. This does not mean you stop caring. This does not mean you stop planning or thinking or solving problems. It means you stop being at war with yourself. You stop wasting energy on battles that cannot be won. You stop treating your own consciousness like an enemy. Takeshi did not transform overnight, but he started to change. He stopped trying to organize every thought. He stopped making elaborate plans to prevent every possible disaster. He stopped believing that if he just thought hard enough, long enough, perfectly enough, he would find peace. Instead, he learned to be present, to be here, to notice when his mind was dragging him into the past or the future. And when it did, he would gently bring himself back, not with force, not with judgment, just with awareness. He started to notice things he had missed for years. The way sunlight moved across his floor in the morning, the taste of his coffee, the sound of rain, simple things, ordinary things. But they felt sacred now, because he was finally present for them. Conversations became real again. He could listen without planning his response. He could be with people without his mind pulling him somewhere else. He could laugh without the shadow of anxiety hanging over everything. He was still himself, but he was free. Hiroshi watched this transformation with quiet joy, because he knew what it was like to live in that prison, and he knew what it was like to walk out of it, not because the prison disappeared, but because he realized the door was never locked. He was always free. He just did not know it. The final realization, your mind, will not shut up because you are treating it like something that needs to shut up. You are at war with your own consciousness, and in that war, you are both the attacker and the attacked, both the prisoner and the guard, both the problem and the solution. But what if you stopped fighting? What if you stopped trying to control? What if you just let your mind be what it is? A thought-producing machine. That is all it is. It produces thoughts the way your lungs produce breath. It is not personal. It is not permanent. It is not you. You are the space in which thoughts appear. You are the silence behind the noise. You are the awareness that watches. And when you realize that, everything changes. Not because the thoughts disappear, but because you are no longer trapped inside them. Mushin is not a technique. It is a realization, a shift in perspective, a remembering of what you always were. Not the thinker, but the witness. Not the storm, but the sky. And the moment you see this, truly see this, the war ends. Not because you won, but because you realize there was never a war to begin with. There was only resistance, and resistance is optional. If this reached you, if something inside you recognized this truth, then you are ready. ready to stop fighting, ready to start flowing, ready to step out of the prison and into the spaciousness that was always there. This is what Zen mindset is about, not tricks, not hacks, not quick fixes, but real transformation. Ancient wisdom meeting modern suffering, a path out of the noise and into presence. Subscribe to Zen mindset, not for content, but for liberation, not for motivation, but for truth. Because you deserve more than a life lived inside your own head. You deserve to be here, now, free. You are not your thoughts. You are the sky. And thoughts are just weather. Let them pass.